"Security, we've got a problem here. This black girl's blocking the way." One of the gang members spat the words as he shoved her books to the ground. Another leaned in, sneering, before flicking her shoulder hard enough to make her stumble. Then came the cruel one-liner, sharp as a blade. "Campus isn't a battlefield, sweetheart. You don't belong here. Before we begin, please let me know in the comments where you are in the world and what time you're watching this. I always check your replies. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, because what you're about to witness is a story you'll never forget." It was a crisp autumn afternoon on campus, the kind of day when laughter carried across the lawn, students lounged under trees, and the library steps seemed like the heart of the world. For Maya, a young black woman with fire in her eyes and purpose in her stride, it was supposed to be an ordinary walk between classes. But ordinary vanished the moment four men, older, louder, and sharper with cruelty than anyone had the right to be, stepped into her path. They were known around campus as trouble. Not enrolled, not students, just hangers-on, gang members who lingered near the edges of student life, feeding off intimidation. Some, ignored by others, tolerated their presence, ignored by others, but always felt threatened by the vulnerable. That afternoon, Maya became their target. The first shove came fast. A shoulder slammed against hers, sending her backpack tumbling. Her notes were scattered across the pavement, fluttering like broken wings. "Pick it up, soldier," one sneered, mock saluting her with exaggerated stiffness. The others laughed, a sound more cruel than playful. Their laughter was the kind that didn't want to share joy, but to take dignity. Maya straightened, her jaw tight. She didn't answer. She didn't bow. She bent to gather her papers calmly, as if their cruelty hadn't touched her. That silence, that refusal to flinch, only fueled them more. "You think you're better than us, huh?" The tallest of the four taunted, his voice carrying across the quad. Heads began to turn, students slowing their steps, eyes widening, phones hovering uncertainly. Some wanted to intervene, others froze, the air thick with that terrible mixture of curiosity and fear. Maya's heart pounded, but not from fear. Inside her ran a current of discipline, years of training that taught her to channel fear into focus. She was not just another student. She was not just a black girl on a hostile campus. She was an Army Ranger, a soldier trained for the unthinkable, a protector who carried herself with a quiet, unshakable strength. But the gang didn't know that yet. The second man spat near her shoes. "What? Cat got your tongue? Or are you waiting for someone to come save you?" His words dripped venom, but behind them was a fragile ego desperate to feel power. He didn't realize he had already lost the moment he underestimated her. Maya rose to her full height, not tall compared to them, but steady, immovable, like a mountain rooted in silence. She met their eyes one by one. The laughter wavered, just a fraction, but still, the ringleader pushed further. He reached for her arm, gripping her wrist with a show of ownership. "This is our spot, girl. And you? You don't belong here." The campus fell into a hush. A bird chirped in the distance, oblivious to the tension stretching like a wire about to snap. 10 seconds. That was all it took. 10 seconds before the balance shifted. Maya's training ignited like instinct. In one swift motion, she twisted. Her wrist free, pivoted, and dropped the man to his knees with a joint lock so smooth it seemed rehearsed. Gasps broke out from the onlookers. The second man lunged forward, but Maya sidestepped, sending him stumbling into the concrete pillar. The third tried to grab her from behind, but she ducked low, sweeping his legs from under him. One by one, they fell. Not with brute strength, but with precision, with the control of someone who had faced battles far fiercer than this. The last man froze, wide-eyed, his bravado evaporating in the face of her calm, unflinching power. He backed away, muttering curses, his words collapsing under the weight of fear. Students erupted, some in cheers, others in disbelief, phones now raised high to capture the moment. But Maya didn't bask in victory. She didn't raise her voice or gloat. Instead, she picked up her papers, stacked them neatly, and spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet, but it carried like thunder across the courtyard. Respect is earned, not demanded. The gang members scrambled away, their swagger shattered, their power broken in the span of seconds. What no one on that campus knew yet was that Maya's story was much deeper than a single confrontation. She wasn't just defending herself. She was defending dignity, breaking chains of humiliation that black women had faced in countless forms for centuries. Her fight wasn't just physical. It was spiritual. It was ancestral. And it was only just beginning. Because that night, as the video of the confrontation spread across social media, the world would know her name. And with recognition came something far more dangerous than the four men she had just faced: scrutiny, criticism, and the sharp edge of society's double standards. But Maya had carried heavier burdens. She had stood on foreign soil under enemy fire. She had endured grueling nights of training where sleep was a luxury and fear was an ever-present companion. And she had learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. This moment on campus was just another battlefield. Different terrain, same fight. As the sun dipped behind the clock tower, casting long shadows over the quad, Maya walked away. Not as a victim, not as a target, but as a warrior who had reminded everyone watching that dignity cannot be stolen, and strength cannot be denied. Her story was only beginning. The confrontation had lasted 10 seconds, but the impact would echo far beyond the walls of that campus, reaching into hearts, stirring conversations and sparking debates. And tomorrow, she would wake up not just as Maya, the Army Ranger who stood her ground, but as Maya, the symbol of something larger, a reminder that every act of courage plants seeds of change. By sunrise the next day, the video had already crossed 1 million views. Students who had filmed the scene uploaded it within minutes, and the internet did the rest. Hashtags blazed across social media. Ranger Maya, your strength in silence, your black girl power. Comment sections overflowed with awe, disbelief, and admiration. But as with every moment of triumph for a black woman in America, not all voices were kind. Makes us proud. She's a hero. She showed them what dignity looks like. But alongside the praise came whispers of doubt. Too aggressive. Why didn't she just walk away? She embarrassed those men on purpose. The world had a habit of turning a black woman's courage into controversy, and Maya knew it well. She had lived it in uniform, serving overseas, where her competence was questioned, her authority challenged, her very presence doubted. Yet she never backed down. She didn't join the Army Rangers to prove herself to skeptics. She joined to serve, to protect, to push her body and spirit beyond the limits of ordinary. On campus that morning, however, she was just Maya, the girl, whose name was on everyone's lips. The dean called her into his office. The air was heavy, the walls lined with framed certificates and smiling portraits of donors. He adjusted his glasses nervously, papers spread across his desk. "Maya," he began, "I've been made aware of an incident yesterday. Some altercation." "Altercation?" she repeated, her voice level. "Yes. The board is concerned about violence on campus. They're also concerned about the university's reputation now that this video has gone viral." His words were cautious, layered with the careful tone of someone balancing responsibility with fear of backlash. Maya leaned forward. "Dean, those men cornered me. They pushed me. They humiliated me. What you saw on that video was self-defense." He sighed. "I understand. But perception matters. Some are calling for disciplinary action." And there it was, the cruel double standard. 4 men attack her, but the one who stood her ground is now under scrutiny. Maya clenched her fists under the desk, her mind flashing back to the battlefield where hesitation meant life or death. She would not let bureaucracy strip her of the truth. "Dean," she said quietly, "if protecting myself from violence is considered misconduct, then perhaps the real problem isn't me." The silence that followed was heavy, almost suffocating. Outside, the office, students gathered in clusters, whispering, debating. Some approached her with gratitude, thanking her for showing that dignity could not be crushed. Others avoided her gaze, uncomfortable with the idea that strength could wear the face of a black woman. That evening, Maya received a call from her mother. The warmth in her voice was like a balm after the coldness of the day. "Baby, I saw the video. You stood tall. You reminded them who you are." Maya swallowed the lump in her throat. "Ma, they're trying to make it my fault." Her mother's voice sharpened. "Let them try. You carry the strength of generations in your bones. You are your father's daughter, your grandmother's granddaughter. Don't you ever forget that." That night, Maya lay awake in her dorm, the glow of her phone lighting the room as notifications poured in. Journalists wanted interviews. Veterans, groups reached out, calling her an inspiration. A message from a young girl in Atlanta stood out. "I watched what you did. I'm scared to walk through my own school, but seeing you made me feel like maybe I can be brave too." Tears pricked Maya's eyes. This was bigger than her. It wasn't just about a campus incident. It was about every black girl who had ever been told she didn't belong, every woman who had ever been cornered, silenced, or underestimated. The following week, a campus town hall was organized. Students packed into the auditorium, the air buzzing with anticipation. The 4 men who had attacked her were notably absent, having been banned from the grounds after police finally intervened. But the spotlight now fell on Maya. She stepped onto the stage, the microphone waiting like a test of her resolve. The lights were bright, the silence immense. She took a breath. "I didn't come here to fight," she began. "I came here to learn, like every other student. But sometimes we don't get to choose the battles that find us. Yesterday, 4 men tried to humiliate me. They thought my silence was weakness. They thought my skin was an invitation for disrespect. They thought my gender was an easy target. What they didn't know is that silence can be strength. Discipline can be louder than words. And that dignity will always fight back." Applause erupted, echoing through the auditorium like thunder. Some students stood, tears in their eyes. Others clapped cautiously, still wrestling with their own biases. But the message was undeniable. From that day forward, Maya was no longer just another face in the crowd. She became a symbol, a reminder of the quiet, unyielding power carried by those who have endured centuries of struggle and still rise with courage. But even symbols carry scars. At night, when the cheers faded and the noise dimmed, Maya replayed the confrontation in her mind. She remembered the sting of their laughter, the weight of their hands, the insult that sought to erase her. She remembered, too, the faces of the students who had stood by watching, recording, but not helping. And yet, she did not regret. Because regret belongs to those who surrender. Months later, when the semester closed, Maya walked across campus under the spring sun. The quad, where it had all begun, now felt different. Some still whispered, some still stared, but many nodded, in respect. She had shifted something, however small, in the fabric of that community. As she passed the library steps, she saw a group of younger girls, Black, Latina, Asian, sitting together, laughing freely, books spread out between them. One looked up, caught Maya's eye, and smiled. It was a simple smile, but it carried weight. It said, "We saw you. We learned from you. We're braver now because of you." Maya smiled back. For the first time, she felt the quiet victory of knowing. Her struggle had not been in vain. The world may never stop testing her. Racism, sexism, injustice. They were battles that didn't end in 10 seconds. They stretched across lifetimes. But Maya had proven, to herself and to all who witnessed, that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it stands tall in silence. Sometimes it fights back with precision. And sometimes it simply refuses to break. And that was enough, because the story of Maya, the Army Ranger who faced 4 men and refused to be humiliated, was no longer just her story. It belonged to every person who had ever been underestimated, disrespected, or told they didn't belong. It belonged to every heart that beat stronger after seeing her stand her ground. It belonged, ultimately, to the truth that strength comes in many forms, but dignity is unshakable, and dignity once defended becomes unstoppable.